It's no accident that the new dietary guidelines coming out of the White House, the crazy guy, Kennedy, who is married to Cheryl Hines, who used to appear in Curb Your Enthusiasm, who has been offering up some peculiar medical recommendations since he came into office, and Trump, of course, the famous beef burger eating president of the United States. It's no coincidence, it's no accident that they are now promoting new dietary guidelines, which I can sum up as beef, cream and beer. And that isn't me being, it's not a parody. That is exactly what they said and repeatedly said. No more antagonism or suspicion of red meat, even though it has been proven to be dangerous to health and one of the main causes of colon cancer, which is a big killer now, even amongst the under 50s. No more antipathy towards high cholesterol fats, dairy fats. Now it's the opposite. We must eat or drink whole milk. Now, when they say whole milk, what are they really talking about? Well, they're talking about cream. That's what they're talking about, because whole milk is made up of a large proportion of cream. And over the past 20 years, they've taken away some of the cream to make the milk a useful, functioning piece of sort of kitchen staple, without necessarily clogging up your arteries and causing all sorts of issues. And thirdly, believe it or not, well, you know it's true if you've had a look at if you've read the reports, if you've seen the statements, they are now suggesting that we should not be afraid of alcohol. It's so ridiculous. Most people who are in jail, well, I'm not going to say most people because I don't know now, but my mother used to, she was a psychologist and she used to visit people in jail. And I once asked her, who were the people in jail? She said she had a lot of sympathy for the people she met in jail. And she said to me, many of them don't even remember their crime because they were drunk. Okay, but despite the causation, the causal link between alcohol and crime and violence and liver disease and everything else that goes with it, and the way that it can eat away the soul and destroy a life, we're encouraged to now drink more. I think the actual words were something like the damage that can be done from not going out and having a good drink with your mates and being social instead of being in your bedroom watching the internet, being an incel, is much less than the damage you'll get from the alcohol. Well, you know, that's a rather strange proposition, isn't it? The idea that it's either one or the other. We don't want incels alone and at home, you know, like the Joker, filling themselves full of resentment, watching pornography all day, when they could be out down the boozer, having a few beers with the lads. And that'll sort them out. It's a very strange opposition that they've created there. Okay, so we're sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but we're now... It is funny though, in a way, isn't it? It reminds me of the Woody Allen film. Do you remember that Woody Allen film when he was Sleeper, it was called, and he was woken from a sleep, 200-year sleep, because he'd fallen, he got ill or something 200 years previously, and they'd kind of put him on ice. And when he wakes up, he says, well, what the hell happened to me? He says, well, you know, you kind of dropped dead, really. And he said, well, I was only 30. They said, well, you know, the heart gave in and everything like that. He said, but the cut, why? He said, I didn't smoke. You know, I was really careful with my diet. I only ate whole foods. And the doctors, this is 200 years in the future, they laughed at him and they said, oh, well, that would explain it. We now know that cigarette smoking was very good for you. And that hot fudge and high fat food was great for longevity. Now, that was a joke, but now we have Kennedy and Trump in the White House going on about eat more cream, drink more beer, eat more beef. Well, Jordan Peterson can't eat any more beef than he's already eating. Now, I know he's been out of action in hospital for a year because of his nervous breakdown. But the thing is that that here's a man who famously only eats beef. And, I don't know, he has been very ill twice for very long periods of time. I wish he'd eat his fruit and vegetables. He should be getting 5 a day, but anyway. But why is this no accident? Well, if you think about it, this is part of the kind of the return to the America origin story, the mythological American origin story. I'm talking about John Wayne films, and this is a kind of hangover from an idea about what America is, which they are obviously trying to go back to, which I have spoken about in all of my other videos, that they are returning to a kind of pre-Enlightenment, pre-progressive, puritanical kind of Christian nationalism. And it's a mythological, it's a romantic myth, but that's where they're kind of heading. And it's all mixed up with other things like the empire building and the power. But, let's focus on the American myth. Well, we know about beef, and we know about beef is mentioned in the Old Testament. The cow is meant to be this sort of this clean animal, and it's always talked about quite positively, the idea of beef. In Exodus, I think they talk about this is a land that flows with milk and honey. Milk is also meant to be this kind of origin product in a way, along with beef. There's something almost religious about these foods, and finally alcohol. And we all know that Jesus drank the wine, and we know that Jesus turned the water into wine, and so we mustn't make alcohol into our enemy, although it's rather ironic, isn't it, that the Americans themselves actually did prohibit alcohol for many years, early in the 20th century. As usual, with pretty much everything that comes out of the White House, there's a huge amount of hypocrisy. What is important yesterday is no longer important today. And, that's just the way it goes. So this is all this is frontier talk. This is cowboy talk. This is the sort of idea of the Western cowboy barbecuing his steak, drinking his beer, and in the morning when he can't handle the beer, tossing back some full cream in order to get him going. It's to do with the range. It's to do with the cattle drives. It's to do with the land without limits. It's to do with the cowboys sitting around the fire, right, tossing those steaks about, drinking that milk, drinking that creamy milk and the butter, the wildness of the land, domestic stability somehow, that we produce these life-giving foods, and that's all you need. If you've got beef, if you've got beer, and if you've got cream, you don't need anything else. Good riddance to those Whole Food stores in downtown Los Angeles and downtown Chicago and Baltimore. Those fancy whole food vegetarian stores. This is the type of thing we want to send in our ICE agents. Trample over that tofu, trample over those spinach pancakes and what have you. Just get rid of the whole thing. Yeah, and it's to do also with masculinity. How J.D. Vance and Elon Musk and Mark Rubio and Donald Trump. I mean, they are the epitome of the kind of toxic masculinity, aren't they? All right. And there's something very masculine about these things. Beef is muscle. This is no, I'm not making this up. I mean, it's definitely aligned with these kind of symbols, and they know it is, and they're very proud of it. And even Kennedy, he's bulked up, hasn't he? Even though he must be in his 60s now, he's all bulked up. Real men eat steak. Real men drink beer. Real people drink cream as a high calorific energy drink. It's indulgent. All of these things are indulgent, and they want you to indulge yourself without guilt, and they don't care about the medical repercussions. They don't care about the science, just like they don't care about the science of climate change. They don't give a damn about the science of diet. Not when they can go back to the days of the cowboy, and they've actually admitted this. I mean, one of the most popular programs on Netflix is called something like Barbecue Showdown, and it's where people from the Midwest have competitions where they barbecue enormous pieces of meat. For some reason, they don't call it meat on that program; they call it protein. Well, I don't know why. Maybe that's a US thing. What is beer? Beer is part of a male ritual, isn't it? I don't know. Do people still partake in that ritual? Maybe not where I am in Europe, but in the US, it's part of the mythology, isn't it? The cold beer, something you do after you've laboured all day. Go and you open your fridge, you pull out a tin of Colt 45, and this barbecuing program. Burning raw flesh using fire. Is there anything kind of more primitive, more masculine in a way than that? And ritualistic, primal, and we're in control. We get the wood, we light the fire, we kill the animal. We cut the animal and we sizzle the animal on a hot flame. You've got to think about America as being a kind of schizophrenic country when it comes to religion. It's fundamentally conservative. It's fundamentally Protestant. And Protestants are about that American ideal of working extremely hard and getting what you deserve. The only way to find salvation is to work extremely hard. You either work hard in the eyes of the Lord spiritually, or more visibly to work hard labouring so that you can look after your family and that kind of thing. And you do get a reward for being hardworking and being moral. But the thing about the world of the Protestant is that you're also a sinner if you do almost anything except, play with a very straight bat. But one thing you can do to reward yourself perfectly legitimately is have a nice steak, put cream in your coffee, have a nice cool beer after a good, honest day's work. Those three things are tied in with a kind of godly reward, an indulgence that does not fly in the face of the Lord. So it's no accident or coincidence. It's got nothing to do with diet. It's got nothing to do with science. It's no accident that these three things have ended up being part of the new dietary advice from this crazy White House. So there's something really wholesome and American about beef and about cream and about beer. It kind of removes them from all this kind of weird ethnic food. It distinguishes them. It's very male, it's very masculine, it's very primal. This has got nothing to do with dietary guidelines in order for you to stay healthy. That doesn't make any sense at all. It's all part of the program, part of the playbook. Whether or not they are actually conscious of this, I doubt very much. I just think they're working on a kind of visceral idea of what it is to be a man and what it is to be a true American and what it is to be a spiritual person who is not indulging in something which could be considered sinful, but is still an indulgence. Or maybe they've just been watching too much Barbecue Showdown on Netflix.